Get this. Here's what he says about the thumb traces in the drawing. This is the expected way of depicting the hands of mourners and others when they are held up to both sides of their heads or before their faces. In general, in resurrection scenes, the raising of a hand to the head or face represents another aspect of the stirring or the stretching of Osiris during his reawakening. Here the gesture with two hands might be related specifically to reaching up to embrace the returning Ba. That is precisely what Hugh Nibley has noted. John Gee has said this, Michael Dennis Rhodes has said this, and I went through the Egyptian art on my Mormonism researched site. I did an article years ago where I took all of the art that I could amass for me in my library on wings and thumbs. I believe I called the piece itself on thumbs and wings. And I compared the art. And I showed how the Egyptian art definitely, without question, established that these are thumbs on the papyri, on facsimile number 1. They're not wings. Wings were drawn differently. Lanny Bell shows other sources, Peck and Ross, Faulkner and Andrews, Kishkowitz and Foreman, that the art, the way it's drawn in facsimile number 1, is properly the second hand. Now, this is a non-Mormon Egyptologist who absolutely agrees with Hugh Nibley, Michael Dennis Rhodes, John Gee, and my own research. He hasn't seen my research, but you can on Mormonism Researched. I've got that article. I show all of the art. We're right. This is Abraham being alive on the lion couch. This is a resurrection scene in the Egyptian art. This is not a dead mummy. And furthermore, apparently using other Egyptian art and archaeological texts that perhaps John Gee didn't notice or at least write about, and that I haven't seen yet, here's what else Lanny Bell says. He says, judging from the position of the erect phallus of the reclining kilt earth god Geb in a cosmological scene on Dynasty 21 Theban coffins now in Turin and Bristol, he says there would not be enough available space to restore the hand of Anubis, the erect phallus of the Osiris, and the body and wings of Isis in Papyrus Joseph Smith number 1. In other words, our facsimile. Lanny Bell agrees with the argument of the LDS Egyptologist John Gee. That's on page 28. There wasn't enough room. The reconstruction of Charles Larson is wrong. Joseph Smith's reconstruction is accurate according to the Egyptological evidence and according to the Egyptologist Lanny Bell. But there's even more to it than just agreeing with John Gee. Lanny Bell also notes that in this area of the idea of the phallus on the mummy, the person on facsimile number 1, I believe the Parker Bear Ashment reconstruction with its implied erect phallus is seriously flawed, and is one short step away from that for him to say, compare the extremely awkward attempted reconstruction with the phallus published by Charles Larson. So here we have a professional, non-Mormon Egyptologist wiping out Charles Larson's reconstruction, disagreeing with the Parker Bear Ashment reconstruction of the phallus on facsimile number 1, and agreeing with the LDS Egyptologist John Gee, and realizing that Joseph Smith was correct to put two hands up to the face, because in the Egyptological materials and in the ancient Egyptian manner, this is not a dead mummy. This is a living person. And we have Lanny Bell to thank for finally giving credit where credit is due. It's 2008. This should have been done decades and decades ago. But at least we're making progress. We're coming to a better understanding now. Get this article. I'm begging you, get this article and read it for yourself. I absolutely insist you do not trust me. You read it for yourself, please. In his reconstruction, on page 30, he shows the person on the lion couch with both of his hands raised, thumbs to his face. He shows him in his kilt. There is no phallus there. And he shows Anubis. Anubis is holding out his hand with an ointment jar. So, no, he doesn't reconstruct this with a knife, even though we have eyewitnesses saying the knife was there. He reconstructs it with an ointment jar. So even his reconstruction is different from the Joseph Smith papyri. Of course, that's to be expected. But we now have made progress. And of course, and then he says, Joseph Smith's interpretations, however, they're another thing. They're in the style and nature of Athanasius Kircher. I mean, they've said that from day one. Who cares? He doesn't offer any attempted interpretations of the figures himself, however. I notice that. He just simply labels Joseph Smith's interpretation as quacky, esoteric stuff. That's to be expected. No one's going to touch the interpretations. But we now have a genuine professional Egyptologist saying, hold the phone, the restoration here of Joseph Smith is more accurate Egyptologically than any of the critics have been to date. Make no mistake about it, folks. This is big news. This is exciting. Now we can go on and forward into the interpretations.